So the topic of this video is going to be why I don't find much enjoyment in what I've been doing recently. And by recently, I mean since I've become a NEET, so roughly 2 months. And I know this is the mother of all first world problems, like woe is me, the pointless selfish habits that form my day aren't providing me with enough dopamine. But I thought it'd be a good topic for reflection, and especially if it will make me critically think about my behavior. During this time, I've had minimal structure and no purpose during my day. I've been filling most of my time with an endless amount of media consumption, and I'm now realizing how futile it's been, I guess, with the new year coming around. And it's also been the first time in my life where I couldn't really enjoy my Christmas or holiday season that much, because in my mind, I feel like I didn't earn it. There's been this looming sense of guilt hanging over me ever since I dropped out of school, and I've been trying to drown it out with all this meaningless hedonistic shit, but it hasn't been working. Though that is to be expected, that's just the nature of any short term addictive activity. As you build a tolerance to it, you're going to need stronger stimuli to satisfy that same craving, and the cycle just continues. And it feels a bit extreme to say that I'm addicted to social media when that same sentiment can be applied to our whole society, especially with the way children are raised now with technology, and even older generations aren't that resistant to being on the internet. But the key exception for myself is that the rest of society is doing something productive while I'm just leeching off the goodwill of my parents right now. I'm definitely feeling some strong, conflicting thoughts towards needing. In the past, I used to look down upon people who weren't quote unquote contributing to society, but even then I was a bit of a hypocrite because I was still a student, but at least my education was in hopes of I could one day join the workforce and get a respectable and well paying job. During my time in school, I wasn't always the happiest, or rather specifically the routine of school, such as attending classes, doing assignments, etc., wasn't that enjoyable for me. But what kept me disciplined was following the conventional idea that all that hard work was for a greater purpose and I was developing myself. So I will admit there was some satisfaction in moments like walking out of an exam room or staying up late to finalize studying. Also, another motivator for me was that I constantly overestimated my breaks from school. What I mean by that is I always had these grand expectations about how I'd spend my free time away from school. I thought it'd be the best thing ever to relax and do nothing, get some time to spend playing my favorite video games, watch shows, or just scroll through social media. But after about a week of indulging in all my favorite copes, I quickly became numb to the dopamine and resigned myself to a mundane existence until the next semester rolled around. Rinse and repeat 8 times, and school was finally over. My life was finally mine. I didn't have to feel locked down to this tedium of assignments, lectures, and exams anymore. Okay, that's not actually how I felt. I'm just painting an idyllic picture of my graduation when in reality, the most logical choice for me was to head back. I kept telling myself if I had just picked an easier degree in grad school, it could have worked out and I would have stayed in my program. But even that logic is a bit flawed because, in my mind, you shouldn't be going to college just to kill time on an easy degree. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for failure, even if you do manage to make it through school. I think I'm getting a bit off track because I have a tendency to overanalyze my past. But moving on to my current life, I don't have much to do. There's virtually zero obligations or responsibilities that I'm dreading. I just have this wider abstract feeling of I know I'm not supposed to be doing nothing with my life, but nobody's really holding me accountable for a lack of productivity. Occasionally, my parents will ask me what I plan on doing or my long term goals, but they have faith that I'll figure it out, so they're cutting me some slack right now. I think I'm just waiting until the new year to start planning for my life, but even then, my goals are rather unrefined and lack a lot of specifics. And even then, it's a stretch to call them my goals because I'm not sure it's what I really want to be doing, but I just understand I can't keep up my current behavior. Because I think the more I indulge in all this temporary pleasure seeking, I'll be further lulled into a sense of complacency that will keep me from accomplishing anything. To get to specifics of what I've been distracting myself with, it's mainly just video games, watching YouTube, and scrolling through social media. To start with video games, to me they've always been my main form of escapism since childhood. I think my love for video games, like many, peaked when I was in high school when I had built my first PC. Between playing competitive stuff with friends and single player titles, almost all my free time after school would be for gaming. It's a bit ironic that the moment I saved up enough to upgrade towards a second PC build was when my interest in video games started to decline. This was in late 2022, so it's been a few years since then, but it's so tiring to keep up with the PC component market that realistically I'll probably wait the same amount of time as I did between my previous build before upgrading to a new setup entirely. I mean, I still gamed a lot during college, as I'd use my old PC setup for my last 2 years, But back then, I realized my schoolwork was more important and only gamed enough to distract me from things outside the classroom, like having a social life or preparing for a career. And now that I'm out of school with all the free time in the world, I don't really have any strong desires to play anything. For a few reasons of I don't want to commit to something that'll take 30 plus hours to complete because in the back of my mind, I know that I'd probably be spending like 3 to 4 hours daily on just that game if I were to start something. And also, I just don't follow the gaming industry as closely as I used to because I don't watch that much content or news on it for the latest stuff. But I think the current consensus is that a lot of the AAA stuff released now is low effort and derivative. I do have some desire to upgrade my PC, but it's mainly for materialistic reasons. Like, I just think it'd be cool to have the latest tech. Aside from that, the only real reason I play games now is to record footage for this channel, and even then I think about that rather pragmatically. Like, I try not to have a game that's cutscene or story heavy, and I only record stuff that I know will run smoothly on OBS or Shadowplay. Also, I know it's not the best time to drop gaming as a hobby, as it's more normalized now for adults to be gaming, or broadly, it's just more inclusive of different demographics. But I think that's mainly attributed to a more aggressive corporate marketing campaign than it is a cultural shift of being accepting towards gaming. But moving on to slightly less niche activities, I probably spend the rest of my time on YouTube, though not by a lot because like I said I've been slowly been losing interest. And I feel a lot of the problems with gaming overlap with YouTube, as it's also becoming more corporatized over the years. Though I will say YouTube is still one of the most effective copes for handling my loneliness. Even compared to other social media, YouTube just feels more authentic. And I'm referring to long form stuff because if you're a shorts creator, you can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. Unsurprisingly, the main stuff I watch is just other commentary channels. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the BP, just people going on rants about their life or society is what I find interesting. But recently there's been kind of a problem where almost all the channels I subscribe to, except two or three, have either quit, gone on hiatus, or have an atrocious upload schedule. Like they will post a single video every couple weeks or even monthly. I suppose you could view this channel as my way of coping with the lack of commentary channels on YouTube now. But honestly, I only ever watch my own videos as a way to check before uploading them, as I find listening to my own voice way too cringe to sit through my videos multiple times. But the last major cope that really hasn't been working for me is social media, specifically the kind designed to be used on mobile devices, so short form, vertical style content. And the only main one I use now is Instagram. I have installed TikTok once during COVID, but I deleted it after a month and never installed it again. I just use Reels and occasionally look at my friends' posts, but most of the time is spent scrolling. Also, I have been using Twitter on and off, but as of right now, I have it deleted and don't have any strong impulses to re download it because to me, Twitter has the most concentrated amount of rage bait compared to any other social media. Like, I would actually get upset just scrolling through Twitter, whereas for other social media, I just feel numb scrolling through the content. I don't know, man. I feel like the demographics are slightly different, but all short form social media platforms at their essence are the same. The content is designed to be forgettable and vapid, and just to make the user lose their perception of time passing for however long they decide to stay on the app. I'm going to drop it with this point because you cannot make a less derivative argument than to criticize short form content. But the relevance to my life is that it's my worst pastime, but I've just used social media for so many years that it feels kind of alien to come off it completely. To me, the alternative to these copes is just doing nothing, and since I'm so paralyzed when it comes to starting something new that doesn't feel too great, technically I have no limits or restrictions on what I can do. I'm sure my parents are willing to support me when it comes to whatever goals I might have, but as of right now, I'm just getting through each day, not able to make any claims of progress or productivity. I'm just wading through my existence, really. And the distractions that I used in the past as a reward for my hard work and struggle have now become cruel reminders about what my life has come to. Well, I'm not sure I have anything else. Sorry to end it on a demoralizing note. It's just a strange feeling because I know exactly where my life is going if I continue this, but I know I have the potential to change at the same time. Alright, I've rambled long enough, so there's the video.